Today, we're going to be doing some plowing here with the 4075R. We've got Randall and Tom here. You can see them right now analyzing what's going on. We're going to adjust a little bit, teach you about the plow, try to learn about the tractor. Let's get started. Have you guys ever seen a rollover plow before? In person?
I think I have, but not very many, if any.
I don't think I've ever seen one plow. I've seen one sitting.
I think I've seen them sitting, you know, like, but I don't know
I find
that
this
I ever
fascinating
saw one,
because here in the USA, we don't use them. Didn't even use them in the good old days of we plowed.
No,
right?
no.
But in Europe, this is what they use.
Some of the farms did in the, but they didn't out here in the Midwest.
The advantage of a rollover plow is that you can plow always in one direction. In other words, you don't have to plow in a land, in a circle. You can end up with only one furrow on one side of your field. And so you just turn square around, turn the plow over, that's what we see. So the deal is it makes for unique plow adjustments. When we want to adjust a one-way plow, we use the lift arms on the tractor to set the plow. But we can't do that here, guys, because we got to keep our lift arms kind of level.
Yeah. I would say you'd use one of these for contour on a hill, on some of the big steep hills when the guys plowed.
And people are saying they use them for terraces.
Right.
To make terraces and to keep terraces going.
Yeah.
Now we're not here for any real world purpose. We might gain a little advantage out of what we're doing here on the field because we've got a low place here that we'd like to fill in a little bit, but for the most part the guys are just being quite generous to allow us to play here. This is Mom's field. Yeah. It was prepared to plant soybeans. They don't have the seed yet that they need to plant, and so it was fully prepared. It's ready for soybeans. Right now, if you planted them today, they'd be great. There's plenty of moisture in there to plant today. Now that we're stirring this up with a plow, it will dry out all the way down to the bottom that we plow. Mm-hmm. This is not going to be good for the yield of this field. We're doing this for you. And really, we needed a ground engaging implement, and there is nothing more ground engaging in the ag world than a plow. This is it.
Yeah.
A moldboard plow. So guys, what I want you to do is help me adjust this plow. And we've got a couple of different adjustments, and three adjustments that I know of. And there's a little chart here.
Okay.
That tells us how to do it, how to get it started. And then the question is whether we have it set right, you know, when we're really plowing. So this adjustment here is adjusting the left to the right plow. It's adjusting how much we take.
Okay.
In the first bottom. So that depends on wheel width. This chart, they call this RA, and that's your wheel width. It's all in millimeters, 800, 900. I measured ours, it's about 940 millimeters in width. We adjust that, and then what we'll notice is that this other adjustment, it is adjusting the angle of the beam. Okay. You might say which direction the plow is trying to go.
Okay.
Another big major adjustment on this plow, and that is that we can change these holes. So this is the narrowest setting, the middle setting, and the wide setting for how much the plow is supposed to take in each plow width.
Okay.
And I believe it goes from a little less than 11 inches or about 11 inches per width up to like 18. So what would happen there is you would shorten this stick, you'd put this in this outer hole, and the beam would kind of turn this direction, and you'd take a much wider swath. Okay. For the tractor that we've got, this is plenty.
I think it's pretty small, yeah. Boy, those are big moldboards compared to what we're used to seeing on the old-time plows.
Yeah, I believe it's actually built to plow a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
Than we do here in the USA. They're tall. They're not only just big width, they're tall. I tried to set that gauge wheel at roughly 7 inches.
That's about all you need, I think.
And of course it's got some down pressure at that point. Now this plow came with, and shoot, I didn't bring them. See these two holes right here? It came with points that came up here about this far.
Okay.
I guess they're for subsoiling to try to get below your, what they call the hard pan. We always called it plow pan, and that's when you plow every single year, or you never work deeper than a plow works, there becomes a hard layer right under that roots can't go through. Well, I took those off because I was certain I wouldn't be able to pull it if I was trying to pull another 3 inches deep. Where I left you in the last episode, I left you with me trying to pick this plow up with the tractor. In fact, I physically had to get back on the back end and pull it up. So how did I resolve that? I really looked at a lot of different approaches. We thought about taking one of the plows off because this one's got a removable bottom here. What did I do? Well, I put some vitamins in Johnny's fuel tank. And so I got it where it'll lift it. It'll barely lift it. Some folks complain about the 4R series lift capacity. In this case, I'm not complaining. This is a humongous attachment that is way far back. You know, all we need is 3 plows, right? That's all we would ever need, not 6, right? So we would be able to pick up a 3-bottom plow easy enough.
Your horsepower required is 75 to 100. So you're
74.3.
okay.
So what I would like you guys to help me with your vast plowing experience, there, Tom,
sure.
is do I have the plow set right? Are we taking the right width here at the first bottom? And then are we setting the right direction? Because I noticed a little bit in what I plowed with the other day that there's a lot of wear on the land sides.
Look at these big tools.
Figured out what I needed.
And then he's
before
got
I
a
came.
big fancy orange wrench.
This wrench,
it's come with a plow.
This plow came with a whole set of wrenches, not this big a one, but I want to lengthen this just a tad, right? Whoops, that'd be this way. As you would say, Tom, a little does a lot of good.
It probably does.
But if we can get it where it lines up and it plows perfectly straight, it'll pull easier.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed is I think the front plow is going in too deep when I'm going the other direction. When I go this way, when we're plowing this way, I'm going along a scooting and actually depth-wise, I feel like I was in good
Okay.
situation. When I was going the other way, I couldn't pull it, and yet the back plow was out of the ground. And maybe that was some because of the fertilizer truck.
Yeah, because the lime truck here looked like it.
I felt like I had to fudge it going the other direction, and I don't feel like I have to fudge it going this direction. So maybe I could raise this a little bit. Okay, so what adjustment were you wanting to make?
We're still wanting to lengthen the arm a little
Push
more.
this back in.
Well, maybe we should shorten this one a little bit at the same time.
Well, that's possible too.
That's going to make him take a wider swath.
Yeah, but that's pulling that over to help that.
That
Landslide.
makes this essentially longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did we do any good, Randall? That's not as bad.
Acts like it's pulling easier too.
In this episode, as you're going to see, we're going to spend some time talking about and adjusting the plow. And you'd say, well, I'm here to see the tractor. I get it. But if we don't get this plow adjusted right, the tractor doesn't perform as well on the plow. So if we get the plow adjusted perfectly, then we'll be able to pull it easier with the tractor. Very few other implements are like this, that they require so much adjustment. So stick with us, enjoy the plow adjustment moments, and then we'll finally get her set up the best we can, and we'll be able to really talk about and evaluate the performance of the tractor. Suffice it to say, it can pull it, but it's all at once. That's what I'm saying now, but we're still adjusting. I think we might be able to improve it a little bit more. If we're pulling that plow crooked,
Pull hard.
it's going to pull harder. There's, you know, if we can get it straightened up to where it's going the direction that it naturally wants to go, then it'll be the most efficient. That's why I got the experts watching and me standing in the seat.
Well, that's adjusting the tilt.
Yeah, front plow I think is going too deep when I'm coming the other direction. That's the only adjustment that is
For
unidirectional.
Okay.
We're getting the plow adjusted a little bit now, and it's pulling easier. It's a lot easier to drive. So I think we're finally getting there. I've got this little crook in my furrow here that doesn't make it very handy. That's what we come up with as well. Sometimes it's not working in perfect conditions. I don't mean the conditions here aren't perfect. I mean that just we've got that crook, and we did that by some of the other mistakes we made. The other guys had to leave. They had to get to some farm work that just had to be done. And so I've been plowing here, just me and Christy. Christy got to run it around or so. And I think we got the plow set where we want it. So really now I'm getting some experience with the tractor, just trying to understand how the tractor's working, what its capabilities are, and just how it's different from a gear drive tractor. I'll try to share that with you over the next few minutes. In our first real world test with this 4075R, we had it on the TS10 rotary cutter. And that is right in its wheelhouse, right? That's the perfect application for a hydrostatic drive tractor. Using the PTO, the actual implement we were pulling, the TS10, it doesn't pull hard, it doesn't draft hard. I wish I could find a term that makes sense there. It doesn't put a lot of force on the drawbar, pulling hard. I typically call a device like what we're pulling today, a plow, a ground engaging implement. So the TS10 is not ground engaging. It uses PTO horsepower. Well, a hydrostatic transmission is perfect for that. Just fabulous. It's hard to describe how perfect a hydrostatic is for that, because you can speed up, slow down, however you want. You don't lose any power, because the place where you need the power is the PTO, right? And so you're not going to lose any PTO power. So what I'm saying is that last episode was showing the 4075R at its strength, at its best application. Well, today, and this is the way we do business, right? We're showing you the 4075R in what would be its weak spot. This is one of the heaviest ground engaging attachments that you can have. It's hardly any way you can work a tractor harder than plowing. It really does pull a tractor just about as hard as anything you can put on it. You notice that because it's such a narrow attachment. It's working fairly deep, right? And so that's why you get, just a lot of draft on the tractor. It pulls really hard. So fundamentally, we don't expect the 4075 to be as good as a gear drive tractor like the older tractors, or like a 5E, our 5075E. We don't expect it to be as good because we know we lose some pulling power in that hydrostatic transmission. So I've established that it's not the best application for this tractor. The question is it competent, right? Can the tractor do the job with a plow? The answer is yes, it can pull this plow. It's doing a competent job of handling this plow. This is a big plow for you. Being able to pick up this plow is a major statement. Being able to pull it in any conditions. These conditions are probably average. There's some negatives about the conditions, there's some positives, but overall, I'm plowing, I think, what is a reasonable depth here. 6-7 inches, probably 7 inches overall. Some people plow deeper. If we needed to plow deeper, I think we'd have to take a bottom off the plow. We're doing what we can do. We don't know for sure if we've got the plow adjusted as optimally as we could have. We've done our best, improved it a lot, but I think it's in pretty good shape there. I'm able to pull the plow about 3.5 miles per hour. Now, another area of concern on this tractor is the weight. This is a pretty light tractor for 75 horsepower. I think typically you would need a little more weight for this, for this much horsepower. Of course, again, with the hydrostatic transmission, that offsets that a little bit because you're going to lose some pulling power anyway. This tractor weighs the same amount as the smaller 4R tractors. I looked on the specs, and it's very, very similar to the smaller ones. I am slipping. You can see the tires slipping some here, but I'm also running out of engine power, and that seems to happen at about the same time. So while the weight's not maybe quite enough to keep the tractor from slipping too much, it's also not horrible because I'm running out of power and I'm slipping the wheels at approximately the same time. We have 310-pound weights, three times 110 pounds on each side. We do not have rim guard in the tires. If I owned this tractor, it would already have rim guard in the tires because I believe in it that strongly, and I just know that it would help, right? It would help the ride, it would help the pulling power, right? It just overall would help us a lot. Now, what I don't understand, okay, maybe an engineering expert out there can help me. I believe this is the same hydrostatic transmission that's in all the 4R tractors, even the smallest one. And I thought sure that I would have no more pulling power than a 4074R. But after having used this tractor, it's clear that I do, right? I feel like I'm able to use the full 75 horsepower. I hope you can hear it, but we're able to pull the engine down. I can actually totally kill the tractor if I push it too hard, right? We're using all the tractor has to offer, and I don't quite understand how that works. I don't know if there's internal changes in the hydrostatic transmission, that they use a different, max relief pressure or something for the different horsepower tractors, but I don't believe that to be the case. I just don't understand. It's fascinating to me, but I don't understand how that works. I've got a spot here that the plow wants to plow extra deep, and I'm not sure why. And when it does so, it wants to pull me to the left even more. And so yeah, there's some adjustment I probably still don't have perfect. And when that happens, you can kind of see when that happens, the furrow gets crooked down there where it wants to pull me to the left really hard. Seems like every episode I get questions of, why do you have the loader on, or why do you have the loader off? Everybody's really concerned about the loader one way or the other. In this episode, I've specifically left the loader on, bucket and all, because I want the front weight. Okay? I could even go as far as getting a bucket full of dirt, I suppose, and that would give me a little more front weight. But I'm pretty good here. I feel like I got a pretty good balance. But that is why the loader is on. If I were to take the loader off with this heavy plow behind me, I would not be able to keep the front end on the ground, for one, and the other aspect is that the front tires would not get much traction. They would not help much with the pulling power. So that's why the loader's on in this episode. And in the last mowing episode with the TS10, I left the mower on because, well, Kenton says, I always mow with the loader on. So I said, fine, we're going to mow with the loader on today. Sometimes there's not so much thought, and it doesn't really matter, right? So that's why it is the way it is. Now, as the plow gets more shiny from a little bit of wear on the plow points and the mow boards and everything, it will actually pull easier. It's kind of a fascinating point. So the plow will pull a little easier as we plow more with it. And I think I'm noticing that, but sometimes it's not enough difference to really make a huge number. It's running really nice this pass, and it probably will run real nice till I get down to this one hard spot where I kind of got my furrow messed up. I got questions about fuel consumption on this tractor. I have no reason to believe that fuel consumption will be improved. In fact, I would think that this tractor will consume more fuel than the 4076R. It takes fuel to make power, and I don't think we've probably got any new technology here. I think this engine has been around for a while, it's just Deere hasn't used this exact one. 74 horsepower Yanmar. Let me know if you have any more questions or comments. We want to do our best to try to describe what's going on here. It's not easy to anticipate all of your questions when we're actually out here in the field. So, I'm sure we've got some more observations, but really we do our best to try to verbalize and show you via pictures what we're actually seeing with this tractor. Overall, it's obvious to me that it's not as capable in a ground-driven application as a true gear drive tractor. However, it's entirely competent and better than I thought it would be, okay? I wish I had an oil temperature gauge so I could see what the temperature is on the hydraulic oil. That would be a very valuable item. But short of a hydraulic oil temperature gauge, I don't know of any way to really tell more so on whether I'm overworking the tractor. I can say I'm really happy with the Maschio Plow. I think this is the very first one of these that's come to the USA. If you're interested, you can go to the Maschio website. You can go to the agfolks.com website to buy a lot of this stuff. Not necessarily the plow, but a lot of the Maschio stuff, and I have coupon code TTWT there set up to give you a little bit of a discount. Again, I hope you've enjoyed this. Just like all the episodes, we do our best to bring an objective view of real world issues, right? You've asked about loader capabilities, you've asked about you know, other things. All that's going to be identical to the rest of the 4 Series. So, and we have found that those to be very accurate, the Deere numbers to be very accurate. So some of that stuff, I don't know if I really need to go through. You might take just a little look at some of this latest ground I've plowed here. It really has turned over nice. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. The funny thing is at least in this part of the country, we don't plow anymore. So this has all been just for fun, just as an example of something that really taxes the tractor, well, from a pulling power standpoint. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time on Tractor Time with Tim.
Still another said, I will follow you, Lord, but first let me go back and say goodbye to my family. Jesus replied, no one who puts a hand to the plow and looks back is fit for service in the kingdom of God.
Yeah.
When you first took off, all the back wheels was spinning, the front ones wasn't.
Yeah, I don't even have 4-wheel drive engaged.
Okay.
So,
you saving it for tomorrow? Just
yeah, you know, I don't want to use it all in one place. I had a little too much stuff on my mind. We'll get to that. We got a whole field over here.